Hi, Alan. It's Rod Lucier. I'm in Kamoka, Ontario, and I do some writing and work as the Clever Sheep, and that's where you'll find me on Twitter. But I saw your amazing stories of sharing is being done again, and I thought I've got something that is sort of themed entirely around sharing, and to me, it's kind of an amazing story. So I thought I'd tell you about it and see if indeed you found it interesting enough to share with other people. The story starts with a brother. I've got four brothers, but one of them runs a place down in Windsor called Fog Lounge. And this particular brother is really high on creating opportunities for artists to learn from one another. And he's gone out of his way to help them learn about technology in many ways. So, about 20 months ago, maybe it was 18 months ago, maybe it was 16, something like that. He asked me if I would share something with them remotely to sort of Skype into a meeting with them. And though I could not do that, I did think it was important for creative folks to learn a little bit about Creative Commons. So I went and I created a presentation on Creative Commons for these creative people. And because I had recorded the presentation, because I couldn't do it live, I had this audio and I had a slide deck. And so with that, I went over to Slideshare and thought, it's all about sharing. Why not share it? So I post all of my content when I do presentations. I'll post them on slide decks. Sometimes they're only up for a short bit of time. Other times they last a fair bit. But this particular one that I posted, what was really interesting to me is that it's getting over 1,000 views a month, and it's been doing this for a year and a half. It's now, I don't know, something close to 22,000 views. But it's a presentation that has my voice dubbed to sort of teach with the slides, which is often missing. You often miss the context when you're looking at people's slides. But it's a presentation that runs for about 20 minutes. And for over 20,000 people to have viewed it is kind of an interesting thing. So it's a story of sharing on the first level that it was intended for an audience down in Windsor for some artists. And then because it was created, it was shared more widely and it actually took off and was seen by a whole lot of people. But the story gets on sharing gets a little bit more interesting because I got an email about a year after I posted it from a woman named Alma. Now Alma's she works in Sweden with the Swedish National Agency for Education, and they published this document called Creative Commons, and I think it's for educators. You can see here's the title. It's entirely in Swedish. But what's neat about it is, she said, we want to let you know that we published this and maybe you can tell people about it. Well, the first thing I thought is, this is really sharp looking. It's kind of cool. It's come into my lap. And it's by people who understand Creative Commons, maybe in part by the presentation that I put online. So when I saw it, I put out a tweet and asked if anybody could take Swedish and convert it to English, translate it. And Alistair Creelman got back to me almost immediately. It was 6 minutes after. Like I posted at 6:15 in the morning, something like that. And at 6:21, Alistair said, you know, maybe I can help you out with translating that. Well, as the story continues, we end up with a document that I published with Alistair's assistance and some students who I'd worked with, sort of introducing them to Creative Commons in Hamilton, another hour and a half drive up the highway here, with Zoe Brannigan Pipe, a colleague of mine who I met in part through this project, in part by a conference down in Philadelphia. Anyway, the sharing that I did initially led to someone sharing a document in Swedish with me that I then shared with Alistair, who translated it, and we end up with this document, a Creative Commons in the Classroom explanation guide, a tool that teaches what Creative Commons is all about and how it can be applied to the classroom. It's work that sort of I see a need for, and it's something I probably would have eventually gotten around to trying to do myself, but because I went out and shared what I knew, other people sort of shared ideas back to me, and it all came to sort of a sharing piled on top of sharing. In fact, the sharing that went out to the world wasn't the end of the story. It actually got reflected back to me. And then we, a group of students in Hamilton and Alistair and myself, we reflected that all together, repackaged it again, and sent it out. I don't have the statistics in front of me, but that document's actually making it into the hands of teachers in the classroom, who are then copying it and using it for other people. I don't know how amazing it is. To me, because it's themed entirely on sharing, the concept of Creative Commons being you share your work in return for attribution, that I'm pleased to tell that story for you. So I'm a little bit past your deadline. I hope it's still helpful to you. Good luck with telling more amazing stories of sharing. I enjoy your work. Keep up the good work. And if anybody wants to get a hold of me, I have a blog. I've been away from it this summer at thecleversheep.com, but you can catch me on Twitter under that same name. Take care.